Ever feel like your thoughts are crystal clear in your head, but when you try to express them, they come out a little, well, fuzzy?
Yeah, like you know exactly what you mean, but finding the perfect word is tricky.
Exactly. Like
Yeah,
you're trying to capture this vibrant image, but only have a blurry lens. We all want to communicate with impact, don't we?
definitely. To have those precise words right when you need them.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, a really rich collection of advanced English vocabulary.
hmm We've gathered some great material here, focusing on, sophisticated adjectives, impactful verbs, some nuanced nouns.
And even those slippery adverbs and irregular verbs that can trip people up sometimes.
Right. And the goal isn't just memorizing definitions, is it?
Not at all. Our mission, for you listening, is to move beyond that. We want to equip you with a real understanding of how to use these words effectively.
So you can speak and write with more accuracy, more authority,
Yeah.
maybe even a little more flair.
Panache, yeah. So whether you're already pretty fluent or you're really looking to elevate your English, get ready. We're here to help you sharpen that linguistic toolkit.
And don't worry if some of these words seem a bit technical at first.
Yeah.
We'll guide you through, break things down, and try to avoid any unnecessary jargon. It's about clarity.
Okay, let's jump right in. First up, we've got a set of 10 adjectives. These are words often seen as adding a bit of, well, intellectual weight to your communication.
Making you sound a bit smarter.
Precisely. The first one is ubiquitous. That's ubiquitous.
Okay, ubiquitous. How
Yeah.
many syllables is that? Four.
4 syllables, yeah. And the stress is on the second one. Ubiquit.
Ubiquitous, got it. And it means,
It means present or existing everywhere. You know, like how smartphones are just everywhere now, absolutely ubiquitous.
right, the source example is, local coffee shops are ubiquitous in my hometown, which is true for many places.
Totally. And what's interesting beyond just being everywhere is how it often points to a trend, something pervasive that's almost become the norm.
Like, it wasn't always the case that you saw coffee shops on every single corner.
Exactly. It suggests a kind of widespread adoption or presence.
And the power of a word like ubiquitous is really its conciseness, isn't it? Instead of saying, oh, that thing is really widespread and you see it all over the place, you just say,
It's ubiquitous.
right, much more efficient. Think about the internet or certain apps maybe. They feel ubiquitous now.
Definitely. Okay, next adjective. Cumbersome. Cumbersome.
C-U-M, bursome. Stress on the first syllable.
Yep, 3 syllables. Cumbersome. This describes something that's unwieldy, difficult to handle or manage, often because it's big or heavy or just complex.
Okay, unwieldy, like trying to carry too many grocery bags at once.
Or yeah, the example they give is moving the furniture outside was really cumbersome. Imagine trying to get a giant sofa through a narrow doorway.
That's definitely cumbersome. It often implies a sort of awkwardness too, doesn't it? Not just difficult, but awkward to manage.
That's a great point. Difficult is just challenging, but cumbersome adds that element of being clumsy or unwieldy, causing hassle.
Like, think about using really old, outdated software. It might work, but navigating it can feel incredibly cumbersome,
Yeah.
clunky.
Good example. All right, this next one has a bit of a playful edge. Facetious. Facetious.
Facetious, 3 syllables, stress on the second one.
Right, facetious. It means treating serious issues with deliberately inappropriate humor. Basically not meant to be taken seriously.
Ah, like being sarcastic, but maybe more about making light of something serious.
Kind of. The source says, don't listen to him, he's being facetious. So imagine someone cracking a really silly joke during a serious meeting. That remark is probably facetious.
Right, it's a specific kind of humor, often a bit cheeky or flippant,
Hmm.
but you have to know your audience, right?
Absolutely. What's funny and facetious to one person might just seem rude or dismissive to another.
Yeah, it's context dependent. It's like walking a linguistic tightrope, trying to be funny without actually undermining something important.
Well put. Okay, moving on. Arduous. Ardus.
Arduous. Stress on the first syllable, 3 syllables total.
Correct. Arduous. This describes something demanding great effort and labor. Strenuous.
So just really hard work.
Pretty much. The example is building the sandcastle was an arduous task. Maybe it was a really big sandcastle.
Well, think about, say, training for a marathon. All those months of running.
Definitely arduous. What sets arduous apart, I think, is the sense of prolonged, significant effort. It's not just tricky, it's exhausting.
Right. It implies a sustained challenge that takes real perseverance. Like that mountain climbing example you mentioned earlier. A steep climb is definitely an arduous undertaking.
It really evokes that feeling of difficulty, but also maybe the satisfaction of finishing something tough.
True. Okay, what's next?
Next is presumptuous. Presumptuous. 4 syllables.
Presumptuous. Stress on the second syllable there.
Exactly. Presumptuous. It describes someone failing to observe the limits of what's permitted or appropriate. Going too far, basically.
Ah, like overstepping boundaries.
Yeah. The example given is pretty good. It was presumptuous of him to think that this was a date. She just thought they were friends.
Ooh, awkward. So he presumed something he shouldn't have.
Right. Or imagine someone just assuming they'll get a promotion without even applying or discussing it. Their colleagues would probably see that as pretty presumptuous.
Yeah, it definitely touches on social rules and expectations. And it usually has a negative feel, doesn't it?
I'd say so. Because it implies you're disregarding those norms, or maybe you feel a bit too entitled. You're stepping beyond what's generally seen as acceptable.
Which can lead to some uncomfortable situations, or worse.
Definitely. Okay, now for pensive. Pensive.
Pensive. 2 syllables, stress on the first. Easy enough.
Yep, pensive. This means engaged in or reflecting deep or serious thought.
So just thoughtful.
Thoughtful, but usually in a quiet, maybe slightly sad or serious way. The example is, she's thinking about her friend in the hospital. She looks pensive.
Ah, okay. So it suggests a level of introspection, maybe worry or deep consideration, like someone staring out a window lost in thought.
Exactly that image. There's a quiet intensity to it. It's not just casual thinking. It implies you're really engaged with something important, maybe something a bit heavy.
Right. A sense of melancholy or seriousness often comes with being pensive.
Okay, next up is a word that sounds a bit twisty, and its meaning fits. Circuitous. Circuitous.
Circuitous. 4 syllables, stress on the second. Okay.
Circuitous. It describes a route or journey that's longer than the most direct way. Indirect.
Like taking the scenic route, maybe.
Sometimes, but often it just means inefficiently long. The example is, we took a circuitous route to reach our destination. Maybe they got lost, or the direct road was closed.
Or like when you ask someone for directions and they send you on this winding path with loads of turns instead of just saying go straight.
Exactly. And it applies to communication too, right?
Oh, definitely. Someone might give a really circuitous explanation, kind of beating around the bush, taking ages to get to the actual point.
Yeah, which can be frustrating if you just want a straight answer. Sometimes it's strategic, maybe, but often it just muddies the waters.
True. Okay, what's after circuitous?
A very positive one. Conscientious. Conscientious. That's 4 syllables.
Conscientious. Stress on the third syllable there.
Right, conscientious. It describes someone who wants to do what's right or wants to do their duty really well and thoroughly.
So someone diligent and careful, ethical even.
Exactly. The example is, she's very conscientious of her health, meaning she takes care, does the right things. Or think of a student who always does their homework perfectly and on time.
That's a conscientious student. It highlights that sense of responsibility and care.
Yeah, and in work or life, conscientious people are usually seen as reliable, trustworthy, right? They take things seriously.
Definitely a valued trait. Striving for excellence because you feel it's the right thing to do.
Okay, just 2 more in this first set. Next is meticulous. Meticulous.
Meticulous. 4 syllables, stress on the second, like circuitous.
No, wait. Meticulous? Yes, stress on the second. You're right. My mistake.
Happens to the best of us. Meticulous.
Right. Meticulous. It means showing great attention to detail. Very careful and precise.
Ah, so even more than conscientious, maybe. Focus specifically on the details.
I think so. Conscientious is about duty and doing things right overall. Meticulous is about extreme care and precision in the execution. The example, he's meticulous with his designs.
Like an architect making sure every line is perfect, or a surgeon during a delicate operation.
Exactly, that level of precision, paying attention to the tiniest detail to avoid errors.
Meticulousness seems crucial in fields like science, engineering, art. Anywhere, accuracy is paramount. It shows real dedication.
Absolutely. Okay, last one for this smarter sounding set, convoluted. Convoluted.
Convoluted. 4 syllables. Stress on the first one this time.
You got it. Convoluted. This describes something extremely complex and difficult to follow.
Ah, like the plot of some movies.
Totally. The example is, the story was convoluted because there were so many different people involved. Think of trying to understand a really complex legal document or a philosophical argument with lots of twists and turns.
It suggests a lack of clarity, maybe unnecessary complexity.
Often, yes. It implies something is so intricate or tangled that it's hard to grasp. Could be a story, an explanation, a plan.
So if someone's explanation is convoluted, they probably haven't done a great job of making it clear.
Pretty much, it signals a breakdown in clarity. Usually, simpler is better than convoluted.
Good point. So that's 10 adjectives to get us started.
Yep, 10 words to potentially add a bit of sophistication. Now let's shift gears slightly to another set of 10 adjectives. These are often found more in academic or professional contexts.
Okay, bringing out the slightly more formal vocabulary now.
You could say that. The first one is germane, Germaine.
Germane. 2 syllables, stress on the second.
Correct. Germane. It simply means relevant to the subject under consideration.
Ah, so relevant or pertinent.
Exactly. The example is, your statements are not germane to the central argument, meaning what you said is off topic.
Okay, so in a meeting or a debate, you want to keep the discussion germane, focused on the main issue.
Precisely. If someone brings up something totally unrelated during brainstorming, you might gently say, that's an interesting point, but perhaps not quite germane to what we're discussing right now.
Got it. Keeping things germane helps with focus and efficiency, especially in professional settings.
Absolutely. Okay, next. Preposterous. Preposterous.
Whoa, long one. Preposterous. 4 syllables. Stress on the second.
You nailed it. Preposterous. It means utterly absurd or ridiculous.
So, like, completely unbelievable, nonsensical.
Exactly. The source just gives the example exclamation. That's preposterous. Imagine someone seriously claiming they taught their goldfish to fetch the newspaper.
Okay, yeah, that would be preposterous. It suggests something violates basic logic or common sense in a big way.
Right. It's a strong word for dismissing something as completely ridiculous. Much stronger than just saying, that's silly.
It feels more formal, more emphatic, a powerful way to express disbelief.
Agreed. Okay, our next academic professional adjective is perfunctory. Perfunctory.
Perfunc2. 4 syllables. Stress on the second again.
Perfunc2. This describes an action or gesture carried out with a minimum of effort or reflection, done routinely without real interest.
Ah, like going through the motions.
Exactly. The example is, when she saw us, she gave us a perfunctory smile. Think of a bored checkout clerk giving everyone the same quick, insincere, have a nice day.
Right. There's no real warmth or engagement behind it. It's just done because it has to be, like a quick auto-reply email that doesn't really address your question.
That's a perfect example. It suggests a lack of genuine care or thought.
And in a professional context, that could be problematic, right? Perfunctory work might seem careless or dismissive.
Definitely. While efficiency is good, being purely perfunctory can damage relationships or lead to subpar results.
Good to keep in mind. What's next?
Next is truculent. Truculent.
Truculent. 3 syllables. Stress on the first.
Truculent. This describes someone eager or quick to argue or fight, aggressively defiant.
Ooh, sounds unpleasant. Like someone who's always looking for an argument, combative.
Pretty much. The example mentions politicians sometimes being truculent with the media, especially when they don't want to answer questions. They get defensive, maybe hostile.
Right, so it's not just disagreeing, it's being aggressive about it, responding with hostility.
Exactly. It's definitely got negative connotations. You generally don't want to be described as truculent in a professional setting.
No, definitely not. While being assertive is one thing, truculence just creates conflict and makes collaboration difficult.
Well said. Okay, moving on to austere. Austere.
Austere. 2 syllables. Stress on the second.
Austere. This has a couple of related meanings. It can describe something severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance. Or it can mean having no comforts or adornment, very plain or bare.
Okay, so it could be a person's personality or a place's appearance.
Exactly. The example is, her austere manner intimidated the students. So maybe a very strict, formal, serious teacher.
Or you could talk about an austere room, right? Like a monk's cell, maybe.
Yeah.
Very simple, no decorations.
Perfect example. Bare, simple, lacking warmth or luxury. It implies strictness, simplicity, maybe even harshness, depending on context.
So an austere presence, whether a person or a place, can feel quite formal, disciplined, maybe even cold or intimidating.
Yeah, it lacks that warmth and approachability.
Got it. Okay, next.
Here's one that captures unpredictability. Capricious. Capricious.
Capricious. 3 syllables. Stress on the second.
Capricious. It describes someone or something given to sudden and unaccountable changes of mood or behavior. Unpredictable. Flighty.
Like someone who changes their mind constantly for no clear reason.
Exactly. The example says, I can never get her to commit to a time because she's so capricious. You make plans, then suddenly she wants to do something completely different.
Or you can talk about capricious weather, right?
Yeah.
Sunny one minute, pouring rain the next.
Perfect. It suggests a lack of consistency, sudden shifts, things being unpredictable, and maybe a bit unreliable.
Which could be really challenging if you're trying to plan something or rely on someone. Dealing with capricious factors requires a lot of flexibility.
For sure. Okay, next academic professional word, defamatory. D-E-F-A-M-A-T-O-R-Y.
Defamatory. Wow. 5 syllables. Stress on the second one. Defamatory.
You got it. Defamatory. This describes something damaging to the good reputation of someone. Slanderous or libelous.
Okay, so this is about damaging someone's reputation with false statements.
Exactly. The example is, the president's defamatory remarks startled everyone. If someone publishes false information about a competitor to harm their business, those statements are defamatory.
Right. This has serious legal and ethical weight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Slander is spoken, defamation, libel is written.
Correct. And making defamatory statements can lead to lawsuits. It's about protecting reputation from harmful falsehoods.
Definitely important in public and professional life.
Very much so. Okay, another interesting one, esoteric. E-S-O-T-E-R-I-C.
Esoteric. 4 syllables, stress on the third.
Esoteric. This describes something intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with specialized knowledge or interest.
Ah, like inside knowledge. Niche.
Pretty much. The example is a bit unusual. I spent 6 months in the woods hiking the Appalachian Trail. It was an esoteric experience, meaning maybe only fellow long-distance hikers would truly understand the specifics of that experience.
Okay, I see. Or think about the jargon used in, say, theoretical physics or advanced philosophy.
Yeah.
To outsiders, it sounds esoteric.
Exactly. It's language or knowledge specific to a small group, often requiring special study to understand.
Which is fine among experts, but it can definitely create barriers for anyone outside that group.
True. Okay, nearly done with this set. Next is nascent. N-A-S-C-E-N-T.
Nascent. 2 syllables. Stress on the first.
Nascent. This means just coming into existence and beginning to display signs of future potential. Just starting out, basically.
Ah, like budding or emerging.
Exactly. The example is, the project is at a nascent stage of development, meaning it's brand new, just getting started, but it might grow into something bigger.
Like a startup company in its very first weeks or months, it's a nascent business.
Perfect example. It implies a beginning, but with the hint of potential for growth and development.
Recognizing and supporting those nascent ideas or projects is pretty crucial for innovation, right?
Absolutely. Early support can make all the difference for something nascent.
Okay, final one in this academic professional set.
The final one is quintessential. Q-U-I-N-T-E-S-S-E-N-T-I-A-L.
Quintessential. 4 syllables. Stress on the third.
Quintessential. This means representing the most perfect or typical example of a quality or class. The absolute best or most representative example.
The embodiment of something. The perfect example.
Exactly. The source cheekily gives the example, interactive English is the quintessential channel to learn, practice, and improve your English skills.
Ah, bold claim. But okay, I get it. So you might say, a Parisian cafe is the quintessential French experience for some tourists.
Good one. Or what you consider the absolute perfect example of a blues song that's the quintessential blues track for you. It's the ideal, the benchmark.
It represents the core features, the highest standard of something. The epitome, maybe.
Very similar to epitome, yes. Quintessential often emphasizes the most typical and perfect example.
Got it. So that's another 10 adjectives, meaning more academic or professional.
Right. We've covered 20 adjectives now, ready to switch to verbs.
Let's do it. Verbs are action words, so this should be dynamic.
Okay, 10 advanced verbs now, aimed at helping you express actions and intentions with more precision. First up, admonish. Admonish. 3 syllables. Stress on the second.
Admonish. This verb means to warn or reprimand someone firmly, but often with the aim of correcting them. So like telling someone off, but maybe constructively.
Kind of. The example is, the parents admonish their child for telling a lie. It's firm, it's a reprimand, but the goal is usually to teach the child not to lie again.
Okay. So it's not just yelling, there's a corrective purpose behind it, like a coach admonishing a player for a mistake, hoping they'll improve.
Exactly. It suggests guiding or correcting, not just punishing. Firm, but maybe not harsh.
Interesting nuance. Okay, next verb.
Advocate. A-D-V-O-C-A-T-E.
Advocate. 3 syllables. Stress on the first this time.
Advocate. This means to publicly recommend or support something, to speak out in favor of it.
Like championing a cause.
Yes. The example is, the teachers advocated for better pay, they publicly argued for it, supported the demand. You advocate for something you believe in.
So it implies active support, using your voice to promote an idea or policy.
Right. It signifies commitment and a willingness to push for something, often against resistance.
Makes sense. What's after advocate?
Bemoan. B-E-M-O-A-N.
Bemoan. 2 syllables. Stress on the second.
Benoan. This means to express discontent or sorrow over something, to complain sadly about it.
Like lamenting or complaining.
Pretty much, often with a sense of sadness or disappointment. The example. She bemoaned having to look for another flight, expressing frustration and unhappiness about the situation.
So it's not just feeling sad, it's expressing that sadness or discontent, often verbally, like bemoaning your bad luck.
Exactly. It often involves a public expression, maybe hoping for sympathy or just venting frustration.
Got it. Bemoaning things. We all do it sometimes.
Probably. Okay, next verb. Compel. C-O-M-P-E-L.
Compel. 2 syllables. Stress on the second.
Compel. This means to force or oblige someone to do something.
So like making someone do something.
Yes, through pressure, authority, or necessity. The example is, the police compelled him to tell the truth. Maybe through questioning or evidence.
Or you could feel compelled by circumstances, right? Like strong evidence compelled the jury to reach a guilty verdict.
Exactly. It suggests a strong influence or force that leaves little choice. The level of force can vary, though. It could be strong persuasion or an outright command.
It highlights those power dynamics, or the force of logic or evidence.
Good point. Okay, here's a verb with clearly negative connotations. Embezzle. E-M-B-E-Z-L-E.
M-B-E-Z-Z-L. 3 syllables. Stress on the second.
M-B-E-Z-Z-L. This means to fraudulently misappropriate money or property entrusted to one's care, basically stealing money you were supposed to be managing for someone else.
Yeah, that's a serious crime. Like the example, the accountant embezzled millions of dollars from the company. A major breach of trust.
Absolutely. It's specifically about stealing funds or assets that you were responsible for.
And it carries severe legal consequences, obviously. It really underscores the need for integrity when handling other people's money.
Definitely. A very negative verb. Let's move to a positive one. Extol. E-X-T-O-L.
X-T-O-L. 2 syllables. Stress on the second.
X-T-O-L. This means to praise enthusiastically, to praise very highly.
So like really singing someone's praises.
Exactly. The example is, she extolled the beauty of modern art. She praised it with great enthusiasm and admiration. You extol the virtues of something or someone.
So it's more than just a compliment. It's deep appreciation, publicly stated, enthusiastic commendation.
Well put. Okay, next. Impugn. I-M-P-U-G-N-E.
Impugn. 2 syllables. Stress on the second. Looks like impugn.
Right, the G is silent. Impugn. This means to call into question the truth, validity, or honesty of something, to challenge or cast doubt upon it.
So like attacking someone's character or questioning their motives.
Often, yes. The example is, they tried to impugn her character with false accusations. They were trying to cast doubt on her honesty or integrity. You can impugn someone's motives, their reputation, or the validity of their research, for example.
So it's about casting doubt, challenging credibility. It can be a powerful tool in arguments, maybe.
It can be, but it can also be destructive if it's unfair or based on lies. Impugning someone's character without reason is pretty serious.
Right. It can damage trust and reputations very quickly.
Definitely. Okay, here's a fascinating one. Obfuscate. O-B-F-U-S-C-A-T-E.
Obfuscate. 3 syllables. Stress on the first.
Obfuscate. This means to make something obscure, unclear, or unintelligible, to deliberately muddy the waters.
Like making things confusing on purpose.
Exactly. The example mentions oil companies trying to obfuscate the benefits of wind energy, using complex jargon, misleading statistics, anything to make the issue less clear.
So it's about hiding the truth or misleading people by making things overly complicated or confusing.
Precisely. It undermines clarity and transparency, often used to avoid scrutiny or maybe manipulate perception on complex issues.
Sounds like a tactic to watch out for.
For sure. Okay, next verb. Placate. P-L-A-C-A-T-E.
Placate. 2 syllables. Stress on the first.
Placate. This means to make someone less angry or hostile, to soothe or appease them.
Ah, like trying to calm someone down.
Yes, often by conceding something or offering something to pacify them. The example is, nothing she could say or do would placate him, meaning he remained angry despite her efforts.
So you might try to placate an angry customer by offering a discount, maybe.
Exactly. It's about appeasement, trying to reduce hostility.
But does it always solve the underlying problem? Or is it sometimes just a temporary fix?
That's a great question. Sometimes placating might just smooth things over temporarily without addressing the real issue, and maybe overdoing it could even enable bad behavior.
Interesting point. Okay, last verb in this set.
Last one is repudiate. Repudiate.
Repudiate. 4 syllables, stress on the second.
Repudiate. This means to refuse to accept or be associated with something. To reject it strongly, often formally.
So like disowning an idea or rejecting a claim?
Exactly. The example is the professor repudiated the student's request to postpone the exam. He firmly rejected it. You can repudiate a statement, a debt, a political ideology, even a person you were once associated with.
It sounds like a very strong, decisive rejection, a clear break.
It is. It implies a firm disavowal, often based on principle or disagreement. It's stronger than just disagreeing. It's a formal refusal to accept or acknowledge.
Got it. So that's 10 useful verbs. Admonish, advocate, bemoan, compel, embezzle, extol, impugn, obfuscate, placate, repudiate.
Nicely summarized. Okay, we've done adjectives and verbs. Shall we move on to nouns?
Let's do it. Nouns that add depth and nuance. Sounds intriguing.
Right. 10 nouns that can enhance your intellectual expression. First is a Latin phrase often used in English. Quid pro quo. Quidprouo.
Quid pro quo, like Q-U-E-D pro Q-U-O. Stress on the first and last words.
Generally, yes. QED pro QU. It literally means something for something, a favor or advantage granted in return for something else. An exchange.
Ah, like I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine.
Exactly that principle. The example mentions it in politics, maybe campaign donations in exchange for political favors, though that can be controversial, but it applies more broadly too.
Like a business deal where each side gives something to get something. That's a quid pro quo.
Precisely. It's about that mutual exchange, that reciprocity. Understanding this helps understand negotiations and transactions.
Makes sense. Okay, next noun.
A very famous one. Catch-22. Catchtwentwo.
Catch-22. From the novel, right?
Exactly, Joseph Heller's novel. It describes a paradoxical situation where you can't escape because of contradictory rules or limitations, a no-win scenario.
Ah, the classic example from the book is about pilots trying to get out of flying dangerous missions, isn't it? You can be grounded if you're crazy, but asking to be grounded proves you're sane.
That's the one. The source gives another example. Needing a job to get parole, but being unable to get a job because you're a felon. That's a catch-22.
It's basically any situation where the rules create an impossible loop you're stuck in. A damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Perfectly put. It highlights those frustrating systemic contradictions where the solution is blocked by the problem itself.
A very useful concept. Okay, what's next?
Epitome. E-P-I-T-O-M-E.
E-P-I-T-O-M-E. 4 syllables. Stress on the second.
E-P-I-T-O-M-E. This means a person or thing that is a perfect example of a particular quality or type, the embodiment of something.
Like we mentioned with quintessential, the perfect representation.
Very similar, yes. The source, again, cheekily says, interactive English is the epitome of English teaching excellence. But think about someone you consider the absolute perfect example of kindness.
That person would be the epitome of kindness.
Okay.
It serves as that ideal example, the benchmark.
Exactly. It helps define the highest standard or the core characteristics of something by pointing to the perfect case.
Got it. Epitome. Next.
Dichotomy. D-I-C-H-O-T-O-M-Y.
Dichotomy. 4 syllables. Stress on the second.
Dichotomy. This refers to a division or contrast between two things that are or are represented as being opposed or entirely different. A sharp contrast or division into two parts.
Ah, like a fundamental split. The examples given are science and religion, or city life versus country life.
Right. Or the classic dichotomy between good and evil, mind and body, nature and nurture. We often talk about the dichotomy between two opposing concepts.
So understanding dichotomies helps us analyze complex issues by seeing the contrasting forces or perspectives at play.
Exactly. It's fundamental to critical thinking, recognizing those opposing elements and the tension between them.
Interesting. Okay, dichotomy. What's after that?
Myriad. M-Y-R-A-D.
M-Y-R-I-A-D. 3 syllables. Stress on the first.
M-Y-R-I-A-D. This describes a countless or extremely great number of something. A vast amount.
So basically, A lot.
Yes, but much more evocative. It suggests an almost uncountable number. The example is, there is a myriad of trees in the forest. Or think of the myriad stars in the sky.
Ah, okay. So it emphasizes the sheer quantity or variety. A myriad of possibilities, a myriad of choices. It conveys that sense of immensity.
Exactly. It adds a sense of scale and abundance compared to just saying many or numerous.
Nice word. Myriad. Okay, next.
Credence. C-R-E-D-E-N-C-E.
Credence. 2 syllables. Stress on the first.
Credence. This means belief in or acceptance of something as true. Believability.
So if something gives credence to a story, it makes the story seem more believable.
Precisely. The example is, the email they discovered gave credence to his unethical behavior. The email made the claims about his behavior more believable. You often hear the phrase, lend credence to, or give credence to.
So the evidence we find, or the source of information, affects how much credence we give to a claim.
Exactly. It's central to how we evaluate information and decide what to believe. Reliability influences credence.
Makes sense. Okay, credence. Next noun.
A noun describing a feeling, malaise, M-A-L-A-S-E.
Malaise. 2 syllables. Stress on the second. Sounds French.
It is French in origin, malaise. It describes a general feeling of discomfort, illness, or uneasiness where the exact cause is hard to pinpoint.
That vague feeling of just being off. Not really sick, but not well either.
Exactly that. The example is, I experienced bad headaches and malaise before deciding to go to the doctor. It's that general feeling of unwellness or unease.
It can be physical, but maybe also psychological, like a general societal malaise.
Yes, it can be used that way too. A widespread feeling of discontent or apathy in society. It's a subtle but persistent signal that something isn't quite right.
Worth paying attention to, perhaps. Okay, malaise. Next.
A noun describing a type of person, sycophant. S-Y-C-H-A-N-T.
Sycophant. 3 syllables. Stress on the first.
Sycophant. This is a person who tries to win favor from wealthy or influential people by flattering them excessively, often insincerely.
A brown-noser. Someone who sucks up to the boss.
Pretty much exactly that. The example mentions sycophants in the media, perhaps journalists flattering powerful figures, or think of someone constantly giving over-the-top compliments to their manager hoping for a promotion.
Right. The key is the excessive, often insincere flattery aimed at gaining personal advantage from someone powerful.
Yes, it highlights that potential for insincerity and manipulation in hierarchies. Flattery's one thing. Sycophancy is kind of calculated and excessive.
Not a compliment to be called a sycophant.
Definitely not. Okay, another noun describing a type of person. Dilettante. D-I-L-E-T-T-A-N-T-E.
Dilettante. 3 syllables. Stress on the first, maybe. Dilettante. Or the last. Dilettante.
It can vary a bit, but often dilettante. It describes a person who cultivates an area of interest, like the arts or a field of study, but without real commitment or deep knowledge. A dabbler.
Someone who's interested in many things but doesn't really master any of them. An amateur in the less positive sense?
Kind of. The source humorously suggests many of us might be dilettantes in some areas. We enjoy something, read a bit about it, but aren't serious experts. But if someone calls you a dilettante, it often implies your knowledge is superficial, that you're just playing at it.
Right. So the difference between a serious enthusiast or expert and a dilettante is the depth of engagement commitment.
Exactly. The dilettante enjoys dabbling, but lacks that rigorous study or dedicated practice.
Got it. Dilettante. Okay, last noun in this set.
The last one is zenith. Z-E-N-I-T-H.
Zine. 2 syllables. Stress on the first.
Zenith. This refers to the time at which something is most powerful, successful, or intense. The highest point, the peak.
Like the peak of someone's career.
Exactly. The example is, his athletic career has reached its zenith, meaning he's at the absolute top of his game, the peak of his success. It can also be used for the sun reaching its highest point in the sky.
So it signifies that moment of culmination, peak achievement, maximum intensity.
Right. The highest point reached. After the zenith, there might be a decline, though not always immediately. It's that pinnacle moment.
Zenith. A good word for a peak. Okay, that's 10 nouns. Quid pro quo, catch-22, epitome, dichotomy, myriad, credence, malaise, sycophant, dilettante, zenith.
Excellent recap. Now, ready to smoothly transition to adverbs.
Adverbs. Modifying verbs, adjectives, other adverbs. Let's get precise.
Okay, this set focuses on 10 advanced adverbs that all conveniently end in -ly. They add precision about how an action is done. First, annually. Annually.
Annually, 4 syllables, stress on the first, means once a year.
Exactly. The examples mention the U.S. Marshals Service flying prisoners annually, and the very common one, filing taxes annually. Anything happening once per year occurs annually.
Pretty straightforward, like an annual checkup or an annual festival. It marks that yearly cycle.
Yep, next. Reluctantly. Reluctantly.
Reluctantly. 4 syllables, stress on the second.
Reluctantly. This means doing something with unwillingness or hesitation, not wanting to do it.
Like dragging your feet.
Kind of. The example is about employees reluctantly coming into work over the weekend. They don't want to, but they have to. Think about reluctantly agreeing to do a chore you hate.
Right, it conveys that internal resistance, doing something out of obligation, not desire. You do it, but reluctantly.
Precisely. Okay, now for unabashedly. Unabashedly.
Whoa, 5 syllables. Unabashedly, stress on the third syllable.
Unabashed game. This means without embarrassment or shame. Boldly, openly.
So doing or saying something without caring what others think.
Pretty much. The example is, she unabashedly told her boss that she wanted a raise. She wasn't shy or embarrassed about asking. She did it openly and confidently.
Like expressing a controversial opinion unabashedly without apology.
Exactly. It suggests self-assurance, a lack of concern for judgment, forthrightness.
Got it. Unabashedly. Okay, next.
Vaguely. Vaguely.
Vaguely. 2 syllables. Stress on the first.
Vaguely. This means in a way that isn't clear, distinct, or precise. Indistinctly.
So like not quite remembering something clearly.
Yes. The examples include vaguely remembering something or someone looking vaguely familiar. Your memory or perception is hazy, lacking detail.
So if you explain something vaguely, you're not being very clear or specific.
Right. It suggests imprecision, an incomplete understanding or expression.
Vaguely. Okay. Next adverb.
One that expresses intensity. Fervently. Fervently.
Fervently. 3 syllables. Stress on the first.
Fervently. This means having or showing great warmth or intensity of spirit, feeling, or enthusiasm, passionately.
So doing something with real passion and intensity.
Yes. The example talks about fervently working around the clock. Think of believing in something fervently or pursuing a goal fervently, with great zeal and passion.
It conveys strong emotional commitment, deep enthusiasm driving intense effort, like fervently hoping for something.
Exactly. Okay, next is diligently. Diligently.
Diligently. 4 syllables, stress on the first. Related to conscientious.
Very related. Diligently means doing something in a way that shows care and conscientiousness in one's work or duties, carefully and persistently.
Okay, so acting with diligence. The example is about diligently working on a problem.
Right. Think of carefully and persistently working on a hard task until it's done right. You do it diligently. It emphasizes the sustained effort, the care, the perseverance.
Like studying diligently for an exam. Shows a strong work ethic.
Precisely. Okay, now for vicariously. Vicariously.
Vicariously. Another 5-syllable word. Stress on the second syllable.
Vicariously. This means experienced or felt by watching, hearing about, or reading about someone else, rather than doing it yourself. Experience secondhand.
Like living vicariously through your children's achievements, or feeling excitement vicariously by watching an action movie.
Exactly. The examples are all about enjoying travel shows vicariously, feeling pride vicariously. You're experiencing the emotion or event through someone else's participation.
It highlights our ability to empathize and imagine ourselves in other situations, doesn't it? Exploring things without actually doing them.
Well put. Okay, our next avly adverb. Hastily. Hastily.
Hastily. 3 syllables. Stress on the first. Means doing something in a hurry.
Yes, with excessive speed or urgency. Hurriedly. Often implies carelessness because of the rush.
Okay. The example is about hastily completing a report to meet a deadline, rushing it at the last minute.
Right, and when you do something hastily, you might make mistakes or overlook things because you're rushing.
So speed at the expense of accuracy. Acting hastily increases the chance of errors.
Generally, yes. Sometimes you have to be hasty, but it's often not ideal.
Got it. Hastily. Next.
Utterly. Utterly.
Utterly. 3 syllables. Stress on the first. Means completely.
Yes, completely and without qualification. Absolutely. It's a strong intensifier.
Like the example, his outfit is utterly ridiculous, meaning completely, totally ridiculous.
Exactly. Or you could be utterly convinced, utterly exhausted, utterly charming. It emphasizes the completeness, leaving no doubt.
A powerful way to strengthen an adjective or feeling. utterly. Okay, last adverb in this set.
The last one is intently. I-N-T-E-N-T-L-Y.
Intently. 3 syllables. Stress on the second.
Intently. This means with earnest and eager attention, focusing very hard.
Ah, like really concentrating.
Yes, the example is about intently listening to someone, giving them your full focus attention, maybe leaning in, not letting your mind wander.
Or watching something intently, trying to catch every detail, staring intently.
Exactly. It signifies that high degree of focus, concentration, and engagement, a strong desire to understand or absorb.
Got it. Intently. So that's 10 adverbs. Annually, reluctantly, unabashedly, vaguely, fervently, diligently, vicariously, hastily, utterly, intently.
Perfect. We've journeyed through adjectives, verbs, nouns, and adverbs. Now for our final segment, irregular verbs.
Ah, the ones that don't follow the simple ed rule for the past tense. These can be tricky, but are super common.
Exactly. We'll cover 15 useful ones. For each, we'll give the 3 forms present, past simple, and past participle, then the meaning and an example. Ready?
Ready? Let's tackle these irregulars.
Okay, first, arise, arose, arisen.
Arise, arose, arisen, meaning to emerge or become apparent, like problems arising.
Precisely. Example, new challenges arose during the implementation of the project. Something came up, emerged. It's interesting how these forms often come from older English.
Right, they didn't get regularized like many other verbs. They're like little linguistic fossils keeping those old patterns.
Good way to think about it. Okay, next, bear. The forms are bore for the past, and then born or born for the past participle.
Ah, this one has multiple meanings in that tricky participle. Bear, bore, born. Meanings like carry, support, endure, or give birth.
Exactly. Examples. She bore the weight of responsibility, endured, carried. And 2 children were born last night at the hospital, using born specifically for birth.
Right. And you use born for the other meanings. The perfect tenses are passive voice, like the costs will be borne by the company. It makes a difference.
It does, a subtle but important distinction for accuracy.
Definitely one to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Behold, beheld, beheld.
Behold, beheld, beheld. Consistent past forms there. Means to see or observe, right? Often something impressive.
Yes, exactly. It has a slightly formal or dramatic feel. Example, behold, the breathtaking view from the summit. It's like saying, look, but with more grandeur.
Yeah, you wouldn't usually say, behold my sandwich. It's for something remarkable or being presented with ceremony.
Good point. Okay, next. Creep, crept.
Creep, crept. Again, consistent past forms. Means to move slowly and carefully, trying not to be noticed.
Exactly, like stealthy movement. Example, the cat crept silently through the tall grass.
Yeah, the sound of crept even sounds quiet and sneaky. A very evocative verb.
It is. Next, deal, dealt, dealt.
Deal, dealt. Common one. Meanings like distributing cards, handling a situation, or being concerned with something.
All of those, yes. Example, the company deals primarily in electronic goods, concerned with. Or, she dealt with the problem effectively, handled.
And who dealt the cards? Distributed. Very versatile verb. And consistent past forms again, dealt.
Yep. Okay, next. Forsake, forsook, forsaken.
Forsake, forsook, forsaken means to abandon or renounce someone or something, right? Usually something important.
Yes, it carries a strong sense of desertion. Example, he forsook his family and fled the country. A very strong word implying finality and maybe betrayal.
Yeah, much stronger than just leave. Forsaken suggests being completely abandoned, often when you needed support.
Definitely a powerful verb. Okay, now for a famously tricky pair first. Lie, lay, lane.
Ah, yes. Lie, lay, lane. This is the one meaning to recline, to rest in a horizontal position.
Correct. Example, I often lie down for a nap in the afternoon. Or, the book lies on the table. The key is this verb doesn't take a direct object. The subject is doing the lying down.
Right? Intransitive. You don't lie something down. The subject lies down itself. That lay in the middle is the simple past tense of this lie. Yesterday, I lay down for a nap.
Exactly. That's often where confusion comes in. Now compare it to the other verb.
Which is lay, laid, laid.
Right. Lay, laid, laid. This one does take an object. It means to put or place something down.
Transitive. You lay something. Example, please lay the book on the table. Or she laid the baby in the crib.
Perfect. So lie, recline, goes lie, lay, lane, lay. Place goes lay, laid, laid. Remembering that lay needs an object is key.
It really is. It's probably one of the most common grammar points people ask about. Practice is key.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. Mean, meant,
Mean meant, very common, meaning to intend or to signify.
Yes. Example, what do you mean by that comment? Or, I meant to call you yesterday. Consistent past forms, meant. Meant?
Seems simple, but the nuance of what someone means can still be tricky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Intent versus literal interpretation.
Very true. Context is everything with mean. Okay. Next. Overtake, overtook, overtaken.
Overtake, overtook, overtaken means to catch up with and pass something or someone.
Exactly. Usually used for movement, like cars or runners. Example, the faster car quickly overtook the slower one.
Right. It implies the change in position, passing someone who was ahead, a dynamic verb.
Yep. Next. Rise, rose, risen.
Rise, rose, risen. Similar to arise. Means to move upwards, get up.
Yes, move from a lower to a higher position. Example, the sun rises in the east. Or, he rose from his chair.
And prices can rise, dough can rise. It suggested upward movement, physical or metaphorical. Another common one with consistent O and I vowel changes.
It is. Okay, next. Swear, swore, sworn.
Swear, swore, sworn can mean using bad language, but also making a solemn promise or statement.
Exactly. The second meaning is the focus here. Example, he swore an oath of allegiance, making a very serious promise or affirmation.
Like swearing to tell the truth in court. It carries that weight of obligation, sincerity.
Precisely. Okay, next. Shake, shook, shaken.
Shake, shook, shaken means to move back and forth quickly.
Yes, quick, short movements. Example, she shook her head in disagreement. Or you shake a drink, or you might be shaking from cold or fear.
Right, lots of context. Physical trembling, mixing something or a specific gesture. Shook, shaken, common, irregular pattern there
It
too.
is. Next. Weep, wept, wept, wept. Wept means to cry, right? Shed tears.
Yes, but often implies a deeper sorrow or more intense crying than just cry. Example, he wept openly at the funeral.
Okay. So weep suggests more profound sadness, maybe quieter but deeper than sobbing loudly. A more intense, perhaps more private expression of grief.
I think that captures the nuance well. Okay, final irregular verb. Withdraw, withdrew, withdrawn.
Withdraw, withdrew, withdrawn. Means to remove or take back something, or for a person to remove themselves.
Both, yes. Example, she decided to withdraw her application, taking it back. Or you can withdraw money from a bank, or troops can be withdrawn. You can also withdraw from conversation, becoming quiet. Right. It implies the deliberate act of removal, retraction, or disengagement. Common in formal contexts like finance, applications, military actions.
Exactly. And that completes our list of 15 useful irregular verbs.
Arise, bear, behold, creep, deal, forsake, lie, lay, mean, overtake, rise, swear, shake, weep, withdraw. Quite a list.
It is, and mastering these really helps with fluency as they pop up in specific but important situations.
Absolutely. They might be irregular, but many are very common.
Well, you've done it. You've navigated this extensive deep dive into English vocabulary with us. We've covered sophisticated adjectives, academic adjectives.
Impactful verbs, intellectual nouns, those precise lively adverbs.
And finally, those essential irregular verbs. We've looked at meanings, sure, but also pronunciation, context, nuances.
The goal really was to move beyond just knowing of these words to feeling more confident about actually using them.
Exactly. It's about empowering you, the listener, to communicate your thoughts and ideas with greater clarity, more confidence, and just more accuracy, whatever the situation.
Because the real value comes not just from recognition, but from application, right? Integrating these words thoughtfully into your own speaking and writing.
That's the key. Paying attention to the subtle differences. Choosing the word that precisely conveys your meaning, that's where the power lies.
So maybe think about which words stood out to you today. Was it ubiquitous, facetious, malaise, quintessential?
Yeah. And as you go about your week, maybe actively listen for them. Notice them when you read articles, watch news, listen to conversations.
And perhaps challenge yourself to try using one or two. How could germane fit into your next meeting? Could you describe something complex as convoluted, or recognize when someone is being facetious?
Thinking about a time you might have bemoaned something recently, or felt compelled to act, or maybe admired someone's meticulous work.
The more you actively engage with this richer vocabulary, the more natural it will become. It's about expanding that toolkit, having more options to express yourself effectively.
Exactly. It enriches not just your expression, but your understanding too. So keep exploring, keep practicing. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of English vocabulary.